Thank you, Confidence. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for tuning in. Such an emergence in whatsoever that is done in our nation. I am so honored, and moreover, I would love to say to all Confidence all over the nation and those in the diaspora, Aman, hallelujah. It's such a privilege, and especially being here in such a beautiful day, and moreover, in such a very disappointing day, a day whereby we all expectant of jubilation and commemoration, but we find ourselves not being able to ululate, and because ululation had to do with development and had to do moreover with the the progression that we could have actually found ourselves in as a nation, especially pertaining meaning the youth, which are the young blood. And not only that we're speaking futuristic, but we are speaking assertively and proactively, that when we look and begin to take stock, we can tell that we are nowhere when it had to come to where we were supposed to be. So for that reason, there's not much joy, and you can hear all over the streams of media, everyone is just sharing over their frustration, and all political leaders are sharing also their frustration when they look at the circumstance and where we are, and the circumference where we are as a nation. So thank you so much that we are going to take this time together as we, moreover, we are coming and pushing ourselves for this commemoration and making sure that the bloodshed of Hector Peterson was not in vain, and moreover also the time spent of the students, the time spent of the young blood, the time spent of Amakabani, the young ones who stood out not only against the legs of digression that was actually enforced by the apartheid regime, but who stood out moreover for against the geopolitics that were in this nation. And now they stood out, and by the use of a stone and the lead of a dustbin, they managed to protect themselves. But now we know that a sudden over occurrence that some of them actually have now given their breath and life for the cause of such a day that we all we're supposed to be celebrating. Now, for that reason, that gives me the privilege to sit here and moreover to stand up and before young blood in this nation and those that are in the diaspora, giving hope, an upward hope and upward mobility to say, yes, we did mobilize. It was mobilized, and it began with words in 1955 when comrades spoke, and then they had moreover a vision to see to it that they liberate their people. But now in 1976, and in 1976, then it came about where action was taken, and now all the young men and young women who stood, and I want to say big up and salutations, are in order, because in a generation it will take a certain people in order to be able to change how the state of education has been, and the state of the economy has been. But now, as we come to this generation, a millennial kind of a generation of technocrats, and technology has become key, where we can actually in a day create jobs, not just talk about them, but we can create jobs in a day. And the government of ECOFORUM has a plan, and in this plan that we are putting together, we believe that now more than even 1 million of young people might, moreover, all of them find themselves, having an income, and that is the way to go when we talk, moreover, we're talking governance, and we are talking progression in regards to the economies. Now, let me put it out there, it is good for our leadership to come on board and give us some, sleep, full kind of talks, and it's a family talk. People are talking, and we, whether Yolala Nini or Vuga Nini, and all of us are complaining about that, not particularly because it's the president, not only because if there's no plan, there's going to be a complaint, not because we're trying to say we're going to do it better, but we are saying now, as the government of ECOFORUM, that if an opportunity is now being granted and presented, we would love to come into partnership with every young man and every young woman in South Africa, because change will not be effected if you have not become the effect of the very change. So now an invitation has been released to every young man and young woman in this nation for us to see the effection and the effectivity of change. We need to be eligible. We need to be registered also to vote. So that will be my encouragement to each and every young person. For us to change things, we would or might not change them the way they were changed in 1976. In 1976, they used stones and they used dustbin lids, and they did throw against the hippos and so forth. But that might not be the case today, meaning that violence that was actually utilized then, which was permissible because of the oppression and because of lack of democracy. And now we are so also perplexed now in the midst of democracy and its compensation. We still find talking about job unemployment and so forth, and we're talking as such. So now the government of ECOFORUM is now roaring, and we are coming out to realize now, and also to set up the times, because the other problem is if we cannot understand the times, we might not speak the relevancy. Now, relevance in what I'm talking about is that time they managed to win the battle also by shedding blood. But we don't want to see the other and the next Hector Peterson. We don't want to see you dying and because you want to put your life for change. But we know there could be ways of how change can come. That stone can be turned into what tablets in terms of what education can be turned into. Your dustbin leads can be turned into what projection and opening up markets, and make sure that our young people are not only employed. Remember one thing, not only employed, because if the education itself that they were fighting about or for is not in line with the economy, then it means that now we fought for the education that doesn't address our economy. So now we're going to bring ourselves and our children into school, but they might not be employable. So now we're talking as a government of ECOFORUM, we're talking youth employability. And youth employability is more of making sure that we develop our young people, and moreover, and now the education system also is aligned to the economy. If our education can be aligned to the economy, we would be a better nation with a moreover developing economy, and that can actually begin to now contest in a global economies. It's very much important that now if our young men and women are employable, meaning they are trained and they are skilled, they are competent and also to be employed, then we'll be able to talk about jobs and employment and so forth. But we're talking job employability that actually brings us back to development. It's very much key. When you talk development, then you are saying we need time in order to develop. It's good for people to have businesses. Not everybody will be a businessman or be sustainable in business. But now what needs to be done is that now when you speak to the young men and women out there, not only trying to entice them for elections. Now these are going to be my favorite words that I believe now you can actually now speak them for the next coming 4 years. These are the many words that comes from my heart. We are not speaking because of elections. We have been speaking even after the elections when others are enjoying the parliament 2019. We have kept ourselves on the ground and we kept on speaking, and we spoke until today. So we're not speaking because elections are coming, but we also don't need elections to bring change. We need a community. Hence, we are saying as a government, if only we can come into partnership with yourselves. And if we partner with young people, we are partnering with strength. You are partnering with power. And hence that now today, you are being neglected. You are being sidelined. You are being excommunicated. You are being catered to as if you are having a certain disability in terms of your execution. But now I come to tell you that now young men, you are actually now able. Young men, you have the ability, the capability in order to partake on the economy of this nation. Young men, you have the mind, the thinking tanks are of the young people that we have in our nation. I mean, when you look at the age that we have in parliament as we speak right now, you've got, from between, if we have, as many as we could, now the balance is not there. We don't have the equality in regards to the age. So now for us to change, things on the ground, we need to change things on the legislative framework. We can't come here and talk and tell them that we are going to change things by giving you jobs, by dying with you. No, we need to change things at a legislature. And once our legislative framework are being dealt with, now then we have more young people in parliament that can speak for young people, because we cannot change the course of a young blood when we don't understand what really are their issues and causations and factuals that they are going through. So you need to do it with them in order for us to see change. So I am calling for a rise of young people in South Africa. You need to be now have in the spirit to oppose things that you don't agree with. You need to also be vocal. You need to be proactive. We need to be assertive. We are not speaking youth, and we are not declaring its future just because we are futuristic. We are declaring its future because we are assertive, and we want to put things on the ground so that a young person in South Africa can be valued. A young person cannot only be associated with drugs, can't be associated with militia, can't be associated with the rebellion. We cannot find ourselves and all young people out there being associated with such. A young man has a proper mind. A young man is a businessman. A young man is a young professional. A young woman is a professional. A young woman also has business skills and acumenship. So we cannot find this youthful state being put to malice and being put to places where as if we are irresponsible. Now when it comes from today, we want even the government, when we address a young person, we are addressing the future of this nation, which is being prepared in the now, which is today. So now the government of ECOFORUM is coming strongly to say in each and every, not only regions, but in each and every branches and every wards and every community, there is a young leader. We're looking for a young leader that can come in partnership with this government. A young leader that want to see change. A young leader that want to become the effect of this effectivity of change. And we are saying, come and partner with the government of ECOFORUM. Now, let me outline this now politically so you can understand, meaning how bad our geopolitics are and how things have been put together and how socialism and also communism has actually also marred our political system. Our political system has been simple. It has been meaning a system that has been narrated out and derived out of chieftaincy and out of the churches. The reason why even churches are going through such an attack is because politics were born from the churches and were supported from the churches, were born from the chieftaincy and were supported from the chieftaincy. Most of even our first presidents of the traditional leadership or parties were chiefs and were actually reverence. So now there is a tendency of killing the reverence and the inference of what? Of being in whether church or being whether in chieftaincy. So all of the two institutions are being dismantled and being put aside and dealt with accordingly, controlled by political moguls and mafiaism that is taking over. So now I want to conscientize everybody that whether you are in any church, where you are, whether you are in a kingdom, royal houses, you need to be resuscitated. You need to come up and you need to rise up, because if you're not going to rise up, we're going to actually experience in the next 7 to 10 years, we're going to experience a great deal, of relapse, and not just of the economy, but there are things that are happening, which I believe they're in a closed door. A great deal of relapse in South Africa is on sale, and South Africa now, meaning, is being approached by, meaning, the so-called investors who are coming in, and they know that now it's all about economy control, and we need to make an assurance that we deal with that and deal with that matter accordingly. So now, hence, I'm calling forth for, kingdoms and royal houses and the churches and so forth. You need to come out and voice yourself out. You've got a right in this nation. You've got a right to become eligible and be a voter. And if you can only just go and register on the 17th and 18th of July, go next. On your next meaning school or anywhere where there are stations, and register yourselves to vote. And all pastors and reverends and bishops and archbishops, let's talk about this in churches and online, because now we can see what is happening now. We are being thrown in levels because of of power, and I can boldly say now we are being thrown in levels because of an autocratic kind of approach, which is now being a diabolic move that is used by our government and our administration to be silenced, so that we are not so that in many instances we're continuing, because we are living in the times of 4IR. We are living in the times where energy is being used for manipulation. We used to live in the times where, when you look at how things were done even in the past, where gas and oil were actually now a battle kind of a sector. And now we're coming to a point where energy is also used politically, so in order to deal meaning with our people, in order to make sure that we are dealing with our people. So it's very much important to understand our stance as the people of South Africa. So now I'm calling out for all of you to come out wherever you are. We are living in the millennial of opportunities of technology. We are living in the millennials of opportunities, moreover, of the digital technology, which I believe that that can create a space of more than 10 million jobs in South Africa instantaneously like that. Now, the digital platforms can absolutely now provide solution to what young people are actually facing today. So we don't have to think as we thought in those days, where we need to build buildings, we need infrastructure. We don't need infrastructure. We just need to conscientize and open the market for our people. And moreover, we are actually talking right now to FSB, FSCA, Financial Service Conduct Authority, to open out and make it as easy in regard to certification and to make sure that companies that comes in our shores and companies that rises in our shores, they don't struggle based on registration and competence and so forth and compliance. So we make sure that now you give us a platform for compliance. FSCA, we are calling out for FSCA to give away their compliance and teach young men and young women out there how to comply, to become bank owners, to become this and that, and also how to comply on a digital space in order to be able to start their own platforms and businesses. And we need innovation in our nation, and innovation will absolutely give us more jobs. We can't contest with China, and we cannot contest with China at the level and the speed that we are actually moving. We are moving slowly. Our speed is even less of those the one of a chameleon. We are moving slowly. This rainbow nation has become a chameleon. Can I put it this way? A rainbow nation is just a dream. It has become a chameleon. Yes, many colors have been given out there because we change all the time. For people to really accept us, we are changing for acceptance. We change for colony. We change for, in order to be to give others a privilege. Now we cannot be a rainbow nation that is chameleon. We need to go back to our stance, and people must understand us in who we are and how to go about that. We need to make sure that we actually now begin to especially on those institutions, we make it easy for people to start their own businesses. We make it easy for them to comply and make it easy for them to operate. Many young people are actually operating, and they are actually working on most of them on their laptops, on their phones. Create business that goes with what they can access. Every young person, even those that are impoverished and those that are going through some challenges in their communities, they might be having a phone. Whether they don't have a smartphone, but they might be having a phone. Create jobs that can be jobs that are in line with young people. We can't come here and talk about jobs as if we are talking to an old, apartheid regime. People and so forth. We're talking to it, meaning have employability. We need to now raise that flag to make sure that most of our young people are practical. And when we develop them in order to be able to practically function economically, when it comes to technology, and now South Africa needs to open up and make sure we are open to them, because we cannot be talking 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution, while we are still keeping away, it's techie and technology. All the techies are there and the technology is there, and the government needs to muchly understand that the more we open up to digitals and technology, most of our young people will be employed. That is what we call job employability. Hence, most of them are in the IT section. If you can go and look, not many of them are doctors, but most are on the IT section. So that can absolutely alleviate, moreover, as to eradicate meaning this unemployment demon or pandemic that we have been facing for a long time. So we can't talk about unemployment today. So it's important for us to address the matter accordingly, so that we can understand that now you as a young person are eligible. The only time you can bring change also is through your votes. Remember, in the last You might not have been voting, but today you have an opportunity. You are 18, you are 19, your time is come. It is for you to change. This is a generation that was spoken of. They might not recognize Nelson Mandela, but they might commemorate Nelson Mandela. They might honor given to Nelson Mandela, but they might not stand loyal to what is actually corrupt. They might not stand loyal to what doesn't actually address their needs, what doesn't address their current circumstances. They will not stand loyal and keep quiet to what they see happening. They could not stand loyal when money is being dished out, is now being taken into some politicians, and political houses are actually gaining up on monies that belongs to these young people and all over the nation. It's very much particular for us to address the matter so that we can actually now take responsibility and accountability and throwing on them. You see, this kind of electioneering will not work. I said to the people, we are not talking because of elections. We have been talking from 2019 after the elections, because ours was not to change, because we want to be elected. Ours was to make sure we change locations, and we begin to bring a pilot project so that what we talk about, we do. And we have been doing those projects in a couple of locations. But now people who are actually having the what we call they are having the capacity in regard to the budget, they are coming to promise. Can I say this? You don't promise your children if you have a budget. When you have a budget, you set a budget and you tell them this 10 billion is for us. It's for young people. Tomorrow, let them come to particular relevant offices where they will find their job cards, or they will find their their job contracts and so forth. We don't plan. You see, when you've got a budget, you don't promise. When you've got a budget, you make a plan. No, okay. Let me just pardon that. You make a plan. You say the plan is tomorrow. We are saying every young man on every department of relevance, let them go there and fill up documentation, or they can fill them online. We're not talking about creating another WhatsApp group on some Mobi whatsoever. We don't want a WhatsApp group. We want a platform that definitely addresses the issue of unemployment. And now the government of ECOFORUM is speaking what we call a job unemployability. Employability. We are talking meaning youth economy. Now, how to create that youth economy and job employability? Because the problem is for us to address unemployment and moreover to divide. If we have to do the divide between the young people and the elderly, or those who are older, meaning in the economy, we cannot talk about one thing and then we divide it, and also we can't address it to either, both parties. So we needed to now have it to be addressed accordingly. We have your NYDA and so forth. We know that some things are happening because of your political affiliation, whether you have a card or something that shows that you can qualify for this. But we are calling out for young men and young women to say change will only come when we want it to come. We can effect the change when we become the effect of the very change. And now I want to say, and because we've got hope, because there's no way that a nation can absolutely see absolutely hardening when you're living in the times of load shedding, where we are not even worried in regards to you know, whether we are online and things are going, we are not worried. We understand the times we are living in. And that's why we needed, for a long time, we needed young men who can actually now play part, especially to what we call energy manipulation, and which is going to extensively continue. You know, we are not excited with what we are hearing in regards to meaning a vessel or you know, that will be utilized in order for energy in South Africa and so forth, that will be put there by the, oh, we're not enticed. We understand that that's another project for corruption. So we need to make sure that we understand ourselves in whatever we do. So there's nothing that can be thrown at us that will entice us. We are saying to the government, if they are not making a decision to partner with many movements like this one that would stand out and address the issues, they would actually be sailing into destruction. Let me say this now. We never knew that the time would have come for National Party not to be actually in power. They are now in power because of the current president. But we never knew that the time will come where people won't be wailing and moreover weeping and crying because of what of no change, no and no economy and so forth, especially in the our mother Winnie Mandela, and they will be raising their fist and now beginning to stand out for a black nation. We never knew that that day will come when Nelson Mandela has been now ushered out of a crusade and coming out, and some other people were there who actually took advantage of the moment. But we never knew that that day will come when National Party will be shown the door, when National Party, which actually now had to now execute what we call the diest, I would say that's a dire kind of a system, which is apartheid regime that has put us into regression and degradation. We never knew that the day will come when a black president will come on board. We never knew that the day will come when a black mayor will come out on. We never knew that a black premier will come out and be appointed. We never knew that a black parliamentarian will be appointed into parliament. But now, one of the things that we never knew is the hearts of these men and women that are leading us. One of the things we never knew is the hearts and the training that they were trained, and the hearts of this men and women that has actually now grown very cold against its people, against meaning the people that they were fighting for. We never knew that us fighting for a black president, us standing, our parents dying for a black president, would actually put us to a sham today, where they are no longer being reminded of the people that they are fighting for. It looks like we are owing them something. But now I came to tell you that National Party was therefore ousted. Now, how so? It was ousted because they also thought they could lead forever in such an injustice system. And the same that is now we see happening by those that are in authority. The same is happening. Some, they will even say, we are going to rule until Jesus comes. Can I declare this today? Jesus has come. Jesus has come. And if that was the day for them to come down, it is the time for them to step down. So now if you're going to lead until he comes, he has come. He's not the one dealing with corruption. Jesus is the one dealing with the corruptible seed, and he is ousting the corruptible seed to present an incorruptible seed. So now, in other words, God knows, and he knew the time and the day. Hence, when we declare, we say, South Africa must go back to God. There's no other way that we can lean on communism. We can't lean on socialism. We are leaning back to the creator of heavens and the earth. And most often times when we declare God, some people, they even feel as if we're not talking about you. Can I say this? We are talking to you. God is a God, the creator of humanity. Don't be his enemy. Because now, in other words, people are bringing politics for you to be the enemy of God. When we say God, we're talking about each and every one of you in South Africa. If you may ask me, we are standing for that humanity. And we believe that now as we are leading in the next coming elections and afterwards, when we lead as a government of ECOFORUM, we will be coming in leadership for every individual in South Africa. And now I am saying to all of us, now the government of ECOFORUM is seeking only for your partnership in such a disappointing day where commemoration should come out with elulation. It shouldn't be formality that it is 16th June and the president is, no, it should have come out with elulation, and where we're celebrating and we are enjoying, and moreover, I would say, the recompense of the death of Hector Peterson. We are enjoying the recompense of what? Of those who were hurt and those who died, the young men and the young women that died. We are actually now enjoying the recompense of what? Of our young men and women who stood up, and those who are our fathers in those days. They stood and they what? They stood for the what? For education. They stood for the change in our geopolitics. Now we needed to know that there are people who stood for us, hence we commemorate. But the commemoration is without ululation because the current doesn't recognize its people. Now, the government of ECOFORUM is addressing two matters at once: youth economy and youth employability. Employability takes us back to development. In order for one to be employed, needs to have a certain skill. And let me tell you, don't be fooled that you'll be employed and no, ujabulile impela unothabe tlhabatlhaba ska thabela tlhabatlhaba ska thabela mana go na le dijo tse jewang ke batho ba tse fetang mana ha re batle mana mona re batla ntho e tloetsang le sustain malapa a ebile a etelang pele ke batjha. Go na le malapa ba ngata in their millions in South Africa mo e leng gore batsadi ba ile ba tlhokagala and malapa a tsamaisa ke batjha. So now mocha a tlhoke tlhabatlhaba, I took a grant. I'll talk a grant at 350. Now let me tell you, I'll talk a grant at 350. O talk a salary, o talk a chili theatre for now. We very kisha. Wabewa is safe for one there. Wabera ni bana baba baha. Hari talk kaba. So we don't need temporary solutions. We need solutions for what? For our young people in South Africa. We need, as I said, employability. Why? Because that will bring us as a nation to what we call youth development, where we development in skill. Moreover, we need to broaden the platforms of what? Of the digitals and technologies and that economy is broad. You see, the technology economies is very broad, and what it needs South Africa. The first thing that made South Africa not to be competent and compete at that level with China and the US of A or Russia is because they actually have tightened up laws. Now, there's a legislation, there are certain bylaws that have been put out there that are standing against such businesses. Hence, when the businesses are being brought forth, we hear people talking scam. We heard it there when Tokyo spoke about the scam he spoke about, and nobody's talking about that they call it a scam. Why? Because he was actually telling about something that can actually change the situation or that we are in as a nation. But they could not take up on that. Anyone is now calling it a scam, as if a veteran like Tokyo is talking out of whether out of bitterness. But now we know the truth. That now, hence, he came on board and talked about the money that was supposed to be given out for young people and for development. And those are the issues that needs to be addressed. And we cannot talk progression if we don't address such matters and such issues. Now, the government of ECOFORUM is working on that project to make sure that 1 million of our young people are being catered for. And now we will be addressing this and putting it on media to make sure that you understand our progress. Because when this project had begun, even when the same government was supposed to put money on what we're having on the table, they could not. Why? Because they want to continue with what they want to continue with. For example, our elections are coming, and we would be using systems and so that we actually vote online. But we don't want that because we are enjoying rigging. People are enjoying to rig. It's the truth. It's not lies. These are the things that people are talking when they are excited on gala dinners after they win fraudulently and so forth. And they talk things and they say things now that, you know, we need to go back to voting. I mean, we need to go to a vote, I mean, at the voting stations that has, I mean, online systems, and also vote even online wherever we could be, so that we are able to can have, a voting process or procedure that is actually fair and that is with no prejudice. It's very much important for us to do that. So we have we are now, as we are approaching the IEC, and it's been approached before by many political parties, but they don't want to take on that because of reasons that might be known but not known to the public. So now we are thankful that as we are talking to you today, young men, wherever you are, it matters not how many you are. Remember, Hector Peterson was one young man and carried by, and the sister on the side. And remember this, these were young men. The three of them are actually painting a picture of the commemoration. So we're not looking for 1,000 or so. We can start with 1 in Phuket, 2 in Hammanskraal, 3 in Tembisa, 4 in Soweto. Now go and 5 in Tanzania, 6 in LANGA, 7 in KZN, Kwamash, and we can go as far as Mpumalanga, go to Witbank, go to Middelburg. Now it might take few of you, but what I'm doing today is to call you and into partnership with this government. And you can do it today. You can do it now. Get on our website, www.ecoforum.org.za/membership. Take the membership, get it on, and make sure you're in good standing and represent your community. In the coming election, represent your community. But before that is done, on the 17th and 18th of July, go and register. These things will not change, let me tell you. I told people from as far as the church level, wherever you could be, you won't change it by preaching. You won't change it by prophesying. You will never change it, say. You'll never change it, Bishop, by preaching the word, even if it's the word of power. You are not going to change the government. You see, and the other thing that we need to make peace with is that this government is led politically, not spiritually. Yes, we're praying, we're leading them spiritually, but it's led in the physical, political. So we need to break that barrier that said when you are in churches, you don't actually subscribe to politics. You have been saying that for many years, and it's been cowardice, it's been ignorance, and that must come to an end. The reason why these things are happening now and the enemy is infiltrating the doors of the church is because of our ignorance, because of how we have been addressing the issue. You are a vital community. You are an important people to make sure that you can bring change in this nation. Only if you can say yes. We can't be loyal on other issues while people that you are loyal to, they don't even care about you. They don't care about church opening. They don't care about you going to church. They don't care. They will give you 50 today, tomorrow 100. Go to church, you smile. Oh, we pray for Ramaphosa. We pray for them. It's a waste of time. So if you know what's good for you as a church, you need to regroup yourselves. However you do it, go to the polls. Make sure that you register first. 17th and 18th July. Go and register. And after registering, wait for the 27th of October. Once, you see now, in my heart, I have a reservation that I'm reserved. Why? Because I know these results can change. These results of elections in October can change, because even if they are being announced, but we're still waiting for the deputy deputy justice or chief justice to come and tell us his oversight. What is that? Because now the one who should actually proclaim is Dr. Nkosana Zuma. Dr. Nkosana Zuma must do a proclamation of the elections, not the president. The president can announce, okay, but Dr. Nkosana Zuma must come from Kota and announce. And when that proclamation is done, then we know it's on paper. If it's not yet documented, not yet gazetted, then it's just a glimpse of joy. Now, political parties are going to and fro. Some of them don't even want to talk. They don't want to have even a press conference because they know it's about resources. And now, while they're leading a party, they can actually begin to now, do electioneering everywhere. They can campaign everywhere, in courts, on state capture. They can campaign everywhere. So now, hence, it will be that it might not be fair that we have these elections, but we must have them for democracy's sake. Because if that would be the case, that we don't have these elections, democracy is in trouble. And so many things will continue, especially at the municipal level. And we need to go there and make a difference, and make a difference by putting on the cross and voting for the people that we need to vote for. Can I say this for the very time, that change will only come if you imagine it. You can imagine, but the time has come for you to take action, and the action can be taken now. And hence I'm saying to us today that confidence, now rearrange yourselves, arrange yourselves wherever you are. In 9 provinces, create such a synergy, synergies, among the people. Come here, just talk to them. Get to hear what are their frustrations. And hey, and once and now that's what we need to hear. Because now we need to take the bundle in English and put it aside and go to the book as a whole. Yeah, so we need to do that, and that must be done by you. Young blood, you got the power. Young blood, you can bring change. Young blood, you are the future. We are not just futuristic, but we are assertive and we are proactive. Now, to you, I declare youth economy and youth employability can be done by any. Now, let me say this to all of us. Sometimes, you see, we trust the words that comes out of those in leadership because they are the heralds of the budget. But let me tell you, when you are a herald of budget and you cannot do what needs to be done, you can't give promises. You can't promise no more. You see, it will be an amazing grace that we find ANC. I'm going to say it louder, meaning the polls, people voting. We'll rather leave this politics, all of us, and let's go and vote for them. Why? Because it tells you that the people of South Africa don't see what people are talking about. They think it's electionary. This is so serious. And the only thing that can be done to change the circumstance or the state is us going into voting. And when we go into voting, we're not fighting anybody. No. We are at liberty to talk about anyone, but we are not fighting anybody. We are saying, as the citizenry of this nation, we have a right to stand out and make sure that we make decisions for our generation coming. Whatsoever that you're not doing now, you must know it's a decision. Whatever you're doing, which is not right, whether you are doing it whether you're doing it but not knowing what you're doing, and you keep on doing it because you are loyal to a black president, we might find ourselves in this very secret situation in the next coming sanctuary. So now I'm calling out for every young blood, and wherever you are, remember, they used stones, they used dustbin lids. You are going to use education, your skills. We're going to use what we have on hand so that there's no blood that is shed. And make sure that we use also legislation, because that's where things need to change. We can't talk about changing the lives of young people, meaning at the ground level, while in Parliament, 99.9% are the 60 and the 70-year-old. We can't be talking about that. It's a waste of time. It's just a waste of our airtime and our resources and so forth. So we need to be real about these matters. And how to be real is to look at the matter. You see, sometimes they think, sometimes they might think young, or South Africans don't think. And I want to tell you, in the next coming elections, some people are going to cry, especially in 2024 and starting from 2021, because many parties, no party will come here and try to win our people because of they are fighting blacks or what. We not going to fall for that. We are going to fall for parties that you can't keep an opposition party because of color. No, you can't keep it. Even if you are a white man, you can't keep an opposition party because of color. An opposition party must oppose what is not right, must oppose what is not of purpose, to make sure that there is a purpose in whatever we do. So we can't just be wandering and wandering and so forth and put our mark because of color. It's no longer in South Africa, no longer. We know that we've been sold a dream of a rainbow nation, and we know that that dream has been sold and nothing's happening. And then we're not seeing anything. There's no rainbow nation. It's a chameleon nation. So a chameleon nation changes colors on daily basis, whether it suits who or who. So we need to deal away with that. And we need to actually recognize people by their ability and not just their ethnicity, and begin to now respect each other and one another. And that thing can only happen if God is in charge. Because I can tell you, to be honest with you, if he's in charge, then I believe that those who are in leadership will have the fear and the love of the people and the love of humanity. So now look at where we are now. COVID-19. Doesn't matter. Whoever, whether you take this down, doesn't matter. COVID-19 with its economy and so forth. So people can't even survive. A little that they had is dead. Companies are closing down. Many things are happening. People are losing lives. So we cannot sit there as if one can't talk about it. What can we talk about? I remember the days, and now in simple, before I close, when they used to talk about this, and they used to send letters overseas and for people to help them and so forth. And we know the process, and now people had them because they were sending messages, and their messages were not called conspiracy theories. Their messages were not set aside to be called a crime, or criminal liability or cyber crime. No, they were not called in names, but they were called in names from where they were fighting. And where they were fighting, they were calling them terrorists, and they were calling them in other names. Why? Because they wanted to see change. And why is it different today that when people are talking the truth, that they need to be justice because of someone does not want people to talk the truth? We must talk the truth. We are very tired even of this COVID-19. Very tired. In however, whether it kills people, we are tired of however and wherever it comes from. So the truth must be spoken. And the problem is, if we are not going to have the truth, you'll rather don't even start preaching. Wherever you preach, if you're a pastor, you don't have the truth. Stop preaching. We don't want people who preach lies here. We want people who are truthful. If you are truthful, you'll face the government. Don't tell us you're preaching the truth while you are busy supporting nonsense. Go and now talk to the government and tell them, we are tired of this. Not even old people are dying. Young people and even infantry and so forth. And so many shenanigans have taken place. And politicians don't talk about that. It's very much important for us to come out and talk about this. Now, as I said, simple, that in 100 years ago, they used to fight. And as they were fighting just to be part of the administration, they were given an opportunity, not only by the people inland, by those who were actually in the offshores, and those who were in the other borders, and those who were in Europe and wherever. They had them as they were sending them letters, and they took them serious, and they knew that something is happening in South Africa. So now we cannot be kept to a ransom. We can't be kept like this, as if we can't talk about this, you can't talk about that, it's criminal liability. Take it to court. Let's meet in court. I think that will be the beginning of what? Of a horror movie that will take place, that will absolutely demolish this a diabolic plan that is illicit, that comes from the whatsoever unknown source. So I am talking this as because I want to deliver to you to say a leadership that doesn't speak the truth will not bring us anywhere. So it is important we understand where we are. It's important we understand what we are doing and what's going on. So in other words, let's stand for the truth, and the truth will set humanity free. And if humanity can stand for the truth, now I'm calling for young women and young men. If they can stand out for the truth, you would see things will change in this government. Let's take it on the street. Let's take it everywhere. Make sure that we do it right, even through education, through our skillfulness, and through our abilities in business, our acumenship, in entrepreneurship. And then we actually move away from tenderpreneurship and don't just depend on tender. Don't depend on tender. Don't look at tenderpreneurship. Might be wasting your time. Get your mind set for entrepreneurship so that we can absolutely asset our young people for the future and prepare them today, meaning proactively. Thank you so much for coming through. And for you to get in contact with this government, get to us. Get to our www website, www.ecoforum.org.za, and let us stand together and say, Amandlaluya, Amandlaluya. We are taking power back to the Creator, and we're having a plan, and we believe that every location will be painted divine gold, will be painted royal blue, and will be painted deep red. And let us continue speaking the truth. And now this is going to be it, that we're starting to say hashtag local as legal. We are localizing South Africa, and we believe that localization is the millennial talk, so we can begin to liberate our homes and economically and otherwise. And may God bless you, and may God bless the government of ECOFORUM, and may God bless South Africa. And thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate it. Thank you.